What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Everything Paranormal Show. I'm Josh Morris. Joining me is Stacy Talich. Stacy, how you doing tonight, brother?
Doing great. How's everybody?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's a little bit of a somber occasion while we're here, but I always try to be optimistic when I start the show. But we're about to enter in some dark territory tonight because I had a request from a viewer, and then a few other people had also asked me off camera. But a viewer named Andy and had asked if we would look into this whole Travis Scott Astroworld concert in Houston with the tragedy. As if you don't know, one of the big headlines a few days ago, Travis Scott, a rapper, who's best known for his style of auto-tune type singing, rapping, things like that. And he also was in a big Fortnite thing, when they had their little, like every once in a while, Fortnite, when they change over seasons, they'll have this big online, and everybody's converted to these computer graphics and this whole show that goes on. And he was like this massive giant and stuff. So a real icon to a lot of kids as well. In the when Fortnite was pretty big still, and of course Fortnite it faded pretty quick here as of lately. But in any case, he's still this iconic rapper figure right now who's selling out big concerts. He did a concert for his Astroworld album in Houston, where things took a bad turn around 9 p.m. There was 50,000 plus people. They all began to sort of push toward the stage, or a bunch of people anyways, maybe not all, but a lot of people pushed toward the stage. This resulted in people kind of getting crushed, sort of like having cardiac arrests, 8 deaths, 300 plus injuries, very chaotic. There's a lot of controversy. Whether he should have stopped. Supposedly, according to the official timeline, he was the venue was notified around 9:38, I believe, that the concert was now a casualty event, and to stop. And then they were however, they came back on. Drake came on stage for a little bit, and then the Travis Scott ended up coming back out, finishing up, and performing till like 10:15, even though there was it had been deemed a mass casualty event. But again, we're going to get into some more of this later. I'm just giving you guys a little bit of summary. But again, 8 people tragically lost their lives at what should have been a fun event. Now, since then, there's been a whirlwind of press, photography, like photos that's come out, videos. Of course, nowadays everybody's filming things. There was a lot of concert filming, and there was a lot of imagery, a lot of things that started becoming into whether or not there was some kind of satanic ritual that was being performed by potentially Travis Scott. And this became a very big subject. It is right now. There's a lot of people wondering, is this satanic rituals? Is he getting involved in some dark stuff? There's a lot of, we're going to go into some of that imagery. I'm going to do that after we do a session. Right now, what we're getting ready to do is we're going to do a dowsing rod session. And we're going to reach out to the spirits, and we're going to see what the folks from beyond have to say about this. And if they can provide their viewpoints or information, or again, take this with a grain of salt. Some people, maybe the spirits are going to tell us the exact truth. Maybe they won't. Who knows? We have confirmed some things in the past. We've had spirits that seem to be fairly consistent in their answers with different spirits we've talked to in the past. So who knows? I see you. You see me. It's good to see you in the chat. I'm trying to acknowledge you before I forget. We got a lot to cover. So stick with us, folks, because again, we're going to do the session. We're going to go right to talking to the spirits. We'll see what they have to say. We're going to get their viewpoint in this first session. We may do another session a little later in the video, but after this first session, We'll get into some thoughts. I know Stacy's got some things that he himself has looked into and did a little bit of research, but also we want to see what these spirits have to say before we really start diving into theories or theory crafting. And I have some images to show you guys. So I have some receipts. So we're going to look at some things. But with that being said, Stacey, did you have anything real quick that you wanted to throw in there before we start the session?
Yeah, just in the way that the internet has taken off with the whole idea that this was a satanic, ritual sacrifice or human sacrifices, that may be it. However, a lot of what it started off in that realm of thinking about a year ago. I don't know if anybody remembers, but Travis Scott had purchased custom Nikes for like $20,000 that had human blood in the sole of the shoe, and he came out and said it was about the blood of slaves and all this other kind of stuff to divert it, but other people came out and said no, what he really did was as a satanic ritual, he wanted to have human blood on the soles of his feet, and
Right.
that just it kept that out there in the internet. So when this happened, it added fuel to that fire. Whether or not it's actually true or not, or if it's an Ozzy Osbourne bite the head off a bat kind of theater, we're gonna find out.
Right.
But as it is, the internet, there's a whole lot of speculation both ways, with Facebook banning the posts of this being a satanic thing, which only leads people to believe, including myself, that they're over the target and they just don't want that to be out there. Fact checkers do fact checking very little. So
well, fact checkers, if you're watching, keep in mind we are not. What we're doing is strictly theorizing. We're not saying that something is definitely a fact. We're only speculating. So again, fact checkers, be warned. Off with yourself. All right. So let's get ready for this. I'm gonna move you over here. That way we can still get Stacy's reactions. And I'm going to try to get you guys so you can see everything as best as possible. Hopefully you can hear me good. All right. Okay, hold on one second. Let me clear this. I'm going to open up a session for communication to, your spirits. If I would love for a spirit to come forward that has information about the rapper Travis Scott and what is going on at his concerts, specifically the one in Houston. Please, positive spirits, come forward to communicate this. And if you have information, please come forward, come to me, and we're going to use these dowsing rods to communicate with. So if you are here, if you come forward, please take these rods, move the rods, cross the rods, let us know that you're here. Cross the rods, let us know if you're here. Any spirit, any positive spirit that has information about the rapper Travis Scott and the tragedy that took place in Houston, please come forward and communicate with these rods. Move these rods. Thank you. I feel someone moving. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. Can you straighten the rods out? Can you return the rods back to center, please? Can you straighten the rods out? Thank you. Thank you for that. It's always blows my mind. I appreciate it. Okay, so you have information regarding Travis Scott. Real quick, are you a male? Cross the rods for yes. or you can leave the rods apart for no, or you can push apart. Are you a female? Cross the rods for yes, push apart for no. Okay, you're a female. Thank you for that. Okay, straighten the rods, please. Return the rods to center. Okay, thank you. Okay, and this information about Travis Scott. Are you a relative of his? Can you cross the rods for yes, or leave the rods apart for no? Okay. All right. Thank you. I was just asking. So I appreciate that. The tragedy that happened was in Houston. Is that correct? Can you cross the rods for confirmation? Oh, yes. All right. Thank you for that. You please straighten the rods out. Please straighten the rods out. Okay. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Okay. So you're a female. You're not related to Travis Scott, but you have information about Houston. Okay. Let me just ask you: Was there satanic influence at the concert? Was there satanic influence at the concert? Please cross the rods for yes, or leave apart for no. Okay, now that's kind of a general question. Thank you, though. Thank you for that response. So they are saying that there was satanic influence. Thank you. You can please straighten the rods. Please straighten the rods. Yes, return the rods to center, please. Thank you. Okay, Thomas, I do see you in chat. I apologize. It's hard to explain everything right now with the dowsing rods, but I am communicating with a spirit, so that's why it's hard for me to explain that. So, okay. Was Travis Scott, is Travis Scott the rapper, is he being influenced by satanic forces? Cross the rods for yes, leave apart for no. Okay. Was Travis Scott knowingly conducting a satanic ritual? Cross the rods for yes, leave apart for no.
Looks like theatrics were the source of it all.
Okay. So the satanic influence that you mentioned, was the satanic influence, was that people in the crowd? Was there satanic influence with people in the crowd? Cross the rods for yes. Okay. So there was satanic influence on some of the crowd. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for the answer. Please straighten the rods, please. Straighten the rods. Return the rods to center, please. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Um, was there someone injecting drugs into people with a needle, perhaps? Can you cross the rods and let us know that? Or leave the rods apart for no? Okay, this is probably going to be a stupid question, but were there drugs being used at the concert? Okay, yes. Thank you for that. I just had to ask. I had to get confirmation. Thank you for that. Okay, please straighten the rods. Return the rods to center, please. Thank you for that. Okay. Were, was there someone injecting drugs into people with a needle, perhaps? Can you cross the rods and let us know that? Leave the rods apart for no? Okay. This is probably going to be a stupid question, but were there drugs being used at the concert? Okay, yes. Thank you for that. I just had to ask. I had to get confirmation. Thank you for that. Okay, please straighten the rods. Return the rods to center, please. Thank you for that. So, um, trying to think, Stacy. I like went for some big questions.
Yeah, I mean, the things that we needed to know, they let us know.
Right. Are there any of Travis Scott's management influenced by satanic practices? Cross the rods for yes. Is any one of them, like, is there one individual on the team that's influenced by satanic rituals or satanic, practices? Cross the rods for yes. Leave the part for no. All right. Well, they're saying that there's not anybody even on the management team that's into anything satanic.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there a portal created? Was there a portal created at the concert in Houston? Can you somehow verify that? Can you cross the rods to let us know? Was there a portal created?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. Return the rods to center, please.
Well, if people died, they go through a portal. So
Yeah. Was there a portal created before people died? Cross the rods for yes. Leave a part for no. Okay. So there was a portal created before people died. There was satanic influence in the crowd. Okay, thank you for that. Please return the rods to center, please. Turn the rods to center all the way, please. Thank you. Was this created by people in the crowd? Cross the rods for yes. Leave a part for no. Okay. So there was some type of portal created by the people in the crowd. All right. Straighten the rods out, please. Or return the rods to center, please. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to end this session, this communication session. If you would like to communicate with us further, we may do some more here in a little bit, but I would like to discuss some of what you said. But thank you for communicating. If you wish to communicate more, please, you're welcome to at least stick around for now. And then for this thing. So thank you. All right. Ooh. All right. So, all right. So for those of you that may have tuned in late, let me just cover a couple things real quick. One is the dowsing rods is a tool you can use to, of course, find water, find gold, different things, but also communicate. There's an individual sleeve here that rotates on its own independently, and that's what you hold. So I'm not holding the rods. See, the rods can swing independently. So you just hold them still, and you ask the spirits to move the rods, and then the spirits will move the rods. All right. So I just wanted to kind of explain that to some people, because if I know not everybody that's going to watch this is into normal paranormal stuff. So, yes, that's what we're doing. We're using the dowsing rods to kind of talk to Thomas there. Also, we were using that to communicate. Now, Stacy, let's get you pulled up in here. Now, what's interesting is so. I'm kind of surprised, but not surprised in a way. I mean, nothing ever surprised me. But whoever this female is not related to him, but it had said they had information. And of course, as you saw, they said that Travis Scott didn't knowingly do anything satanic ritual wise, anyways, and that nobody in his management practices that any kind of satanic rituals. and that there was some satanic influence in the crowd, and that the people in the crowd, some people in the crowd created some kind of portal before the deaths.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all kind of interesting, but I have some theories and stuff. But I want you to kind of get in here now. Now hearing what you've heard, what's kind of going through your mind right now?
Well, uh, this female spirit may have actually been one that died. We don't know that. Uh,
Oh man, I should have asked. I should have
well,
asked. You're totally right. I can't believe I blew that one.
well, we got another opportunity later, maybe. And in all reality, it's not that important. Only in the fact that um, they were an eyewitness to the events themselves. Whereas somebody who's a spirit who just actually knows because they have access to essentially all knowing things. Um, the fact that there were 50,000 people at this event,
Right.
it really wouldn't be that surprising that at least, one asshole is conducting satanic rituals, uh, going to this thing. Um,
Right.
I listened to Travis Scott's music and the lyrics, and granted, the music has a rhythm to it, or has a style to it that is not too far from uh, an old mind control sound called dozer, where they would intentionally uh, get your brain to harmonize with a certain frequency and then reverse that frequency. So your brain would actually be shocked into a state of hallucination. That kind of thing that he does throughout his music is probably what has added to a lot of the confusion going out there. People have
Right.
been known to go into seizures by listening to dozer music, because it does get your brain to harmonize on a particular frequency, and then they literally throw it into reverse, and that your brain, you know, goes into that shock. Outside of that, the only other satanic thing about him is that he abuses autotune. It is just really, really bad. I mean, it's worse than Britney Spears.
Right.
Uh,
But I mean, that's like his thing, I guess, though, is like it's deliberate. That's like his sound. I don't know. Um, but I want to take a look at let's do this. Okay. Let's make a case for this and against it also. But I want to look at why there's this potential for this influence. Now, I would say that there's a little bit of I guess you'd say there's some lack of accountability, because I think anytime you start giving that type of symbology, playing with fire, just putting that out there, again, it's like you're really creating something, even if you're not intentionally doing it. You
mhm.
know, that's the thing. So one thing I want to look at, I want to show you here. So let's bring this in here. So this is again a little bit here. We got some symbology going on here. Just wanted to show that. And then also too, I wanted to point this out. I've got another shot of this, but when you look at his shirt, okay, I don't know if you noticed this, but it's a shirt of people walking through a doorway like a portal and then turning into these little demon dudes. So again, we've got a little bit of symbology here. Um, so are the when the media says this is just satanic panic and there's no basis, are they right?
No, it, I mean, there's a going over. I mean, all rock has done this since the beginning of rock, where they want to be dangerous, they want to be counterculture, they want to, expand your consciousness beyond what is considered the norm. Uh, but in rap music specifically has gone way above, you know, this. I consider this to be relatively tame, and then considering the days of, you know, the metal days of Ozzy and, you know,
Right.
Black Sabbath and
Love
Megadeth,
you.
you know,
All
all of
right.
that. This is relatively tame, and the, the one on the right that you've got going on there with the skull, that's, you know, Haitian voodoo iconography, uh, iconoclasm. Uh, you see people in New Orleans and in Haiti do this, dress like this on a regular basis from the Day of the Dead.
Right.
You know, it's not really satanic in nature, but it's an aesthetic. Uh, this has gone to the extreme. I think it's a bouncy house.
Well, it definitely looks like it's inflatable.
Yeah.
Let's look at this next image too. Now, this one is a little small. I apologize, but this is from somebody's Twitter or whatnot, and it shows the opening to his thing, and you can see, and this is what Dante's Inferno. Um, but you can see the symbolism here as the one is the mouth of hell, and of course, again, symbolism here. So, what do you think of this?
Yeah. I mean, it's looking a lot like it. I mean,
Again, I don't even know if, like, let's say you just take inspirations, and I think I know where you're feeling about this and where I'm feeling about it, but I still want to tap in and dive into a few little rabbit holes, little things, right? Um, Clearly, when you take inspiration from dark things, it's gonna put out dark results, right? And I want to go into this right here. This is kind of a big subject for me, which is the stage setup. I mean, this is a little eerie and when I look at this, anyways. What do you think about
yeah,
this?
the stage kind of looks like, oh God, it just blanked out. The that ritual that they go into the woods, the politicians and the elite go into the woods and they worship a giant owl.
Right?
Do you know what I'm talking about? The
Uh, I mean, I know what you're talking about. I don't know what it's called.
oh, I forgot what it's called. Alex Jones did an expose on it a few years ago, and got some footage of them worshiping this giant owl in the middle of the woods with cloaks and things of that sort. The stage looks very similar to that, minus the giant owl. The Bohemian Club, that's what it is.
Right.
Uh, that whole thing where the elites actually get together and perform actual rituals. Yeah, that's what this looks like.
Well, and what I like to, if you break it down, if you really kind of start breaking it down, one, of course, it's a mountain which can represent terrain or earth, like just again that terrain, surface level, mountains, and there can be some other symbology with the mountains, of course, as well as the triangle shape overall. And then, of course, in between, you have this sort of rocky imagery in between of lava and flows, almost as if you're going down to that subterranean level toward hell. You've got the spiral portal. And at the back of it, the all-seeing eye. That eye does move around. That's a pupil there. That last center area is like a screen back there, and it was an eye that does look around and stuff while he's performing. And what I also found is coincidental, or however you want to take it, is in the very front of the stage. There's 8, big columns of fire, and coincidentally, 8 people died.
Mm.
I don't know, a coincidence, things like that. Again, am I going too far? Am I going too conspiratorial? We can go deeper. I'm just pointing out what I've seen, and then also this is another big thing that another people said too, and there was video of it. Is there's like this big flaming, firing, like wing flapping, kind of like demon looking creature that was like center stage up above the like the tunnel, kind of below the peak area. I guess that's like a big screen or something that it does change throughout the show. I saw video clips. So when you see the video clips, you see the flaming kind of demon looking flapping creature, the all seeing eye, the flames. When you just really look at the total package of what he's presenting, I think there is basis, and I don't think it's that people. I think that when media says there's no basis, it's baseless accusations, and it's a bunch of people just being conspiratorial. I don't think that's accurate. I think that's when they're covering for people and covering for things, maybe political. Who knows? But
they don't really know, and the fact that they're covering and they don't really know means that, like I said before, chances are you're over the target, and
right.
They are the default position is denial. Not a good look. It may be true, but it's still not a good look.
Right.
When you start censoring people and banning people for saying things because it's going viral, that doesn't mean it's going to last. You start it. The scandal is not the act; it's the cover-up, always, and that's what is adding fuel to this. Is the fact that they're trying to cover it up.
Right.
The dead have come out and said so that this is that Travis Scott had nothing to do with anything satanic. The people in the crowd, are the ones that did it.
And I did find it interesting. I wanted to ask about there's been a rumor that someone was going around, injecting people with drugs. And, again, I was kind of ticked off a little bit when some of the media sources was kind of laughing at that and saying that that's part of the conspiracy. When, however, out of like the I believe it was like the sheriff or something that during the press conference, law enforcement said that there was one of the securities that felt a prick in his neck. He had to be administered Narcan, and the nurse did apparently find a spot on his neck that looked like it could have been a possible prick. But with needles, it's hard to, you know what I mean. I can get pricked by a needle, and then a few minutes later you can't even tell sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the point is that this was out of the mouth of one of the sheriffs. Like, this was a report that somebody had said. Now, they didn't necessarily prove anything. This was just, again, a lot of information was coming into them. But this was from a credible source. It was from the security and the nurse, one of the medical staff at the concert.
Yeah.
So that's why I did want to ask the spirit. I just wanted to clarify why I asked that to the spirits. Was there anyone going around and administering that?
It may have been inadvertent too. Somebody was getting ready to juice themselves and accidentally juice the security guard because they got shoved into him or something like that. That's not uncommon either.
Right. And that could have happened, and the spirits would have answered differently, because I asked specifically if there was someone going around and poking somebody versus an accident. So I probably could have clarified that too. But there's a lot of details you could ask. I just wanted to take a break and talk about the big responses that we got in the beginning. Again, for those of you joining late in the show, make sure you go back, watch that first session. When this is done, we'll do another session here in a second. We'll see what else we can find out. I think one. What did we say we wanted to ask on this next session? I think one, maybe we could clarify. Was there? Well, let's see. I don't want to say accidental ingestion. But the other thing too is there's some drugs out there. Was it like fentanyl or something like that? There's some drugs that even on contact can I know there was a thing talking about some shopping carts that had traces of like fentanyl on the handles, and people would grab the handles and they would have to go to the hospital. Some people even in some cases died. Now I don't know if that was urban legend so far, but this was something that was discussed.
You can do what LSD does that. You can lace postage stamp with LSD, and next thing you know, your mailman is tripping because he touched the stamp. Um, some drugs just absorb right into the skin, and uh, I don't know if that's part of the problem here. Um, no,
And this was a picture of that. You can just make out there's a little bit of a winged creature right here that's on fire. This was the only like photo image I could get. I could probably pull up the video. I just didn't want to get, you know, but this was a flaming image of us of that thing flapping. Again, it could have just been a firebird or something. I didn't get a good chance to see the face of this creature. I just saw in the video you could see wings flapping and it was on fire. So again, it could be demonic. It could not be demonic. It could be some kind of phoenix. Who knows? I think for me, I just look at the total package, and I don't know if it's just because of my age. Maybe if I was my age now and I saw, you know, Ozzy and Alice Cooper and Judas Priest and some of these acts back in the day, if I would have been that way, if I'd have been like, man, these guys are in, possibly satanic rituals, things like that. I remember Satanic Panic when it happened, but at my age, I was just kind of like, whatever, like whatever. These guys are cool. They're not into that. And I know some of those guys were actually, in fact, Christian. But it was fun to do those things. It was fun to do. I had my phase. Still, sometimes I do. I've got like my skull hat, with the wings on it. I don't, I got my fun little things that it's fun to be dark sometimes. You have that phase, like, especially when I was young, we all had that phase, or not we all, but some of us had that phase where it was skulls and black and this and that, all the time. So that's kind of what I think is going on here. Is for him, it's fun to be shocking, entertaining. Uh, back even with that little Nas X that had the satanic shoes with the 666 and all that stuff. And now you got Travis Scott doing this real dark imagery, talking about taking people to the other side. I don't know if he's meaning it more of just a big symbolism thing for his concert stuff, for like this overall experience.
Well, it's escapism on when it's like that. The aesthetic is extremely powerful. Religions have been using it for thousands of years to create this sense of awe and this sense of something bigger than yourself, and that no matter what happens, you're just there for the ride. They do that to invoke a sense of connection beyond the veil, and
Right.
Whether you want to look at it as being satanic or not is not the point. In that, it's the power of the aesthetic. I mean,
Right.
some of the most evil organizations in the world use the same tactic, as well as the good organizations in the world. Washington, D.C., the whole city is built on an ancient Roman aesthetic. The city itself is, was done by the Freemasons. So it has a lot of symbolism built right into the streets, right into every monument, every position of every major piece of architecture inside the DuPont Circle
Right.
is, there for a specific reason, a spiritual reason, also creating an aesthetic. The Nazis tried to do the same thing.
Right.
Hitler had this big plan of what he wanted to do, and it was the aesthetic to create this sense of awe. And his inaugural thing was reigniting and giving birth to what we now call the Olympics. That was
Right.
Hitler's idea. We do it every 4 years. Ever since Hitler said, "Hey, let's get together and do this thing."
Right.
And it's all about the aesthetic, no matter where it's at.
Well, I See You See Me said that people paid to go listen to that. I called it stage noise, but she said I watched a vid. Some people were walking around freely, and others looked squished. And Terry Lynn said, Travis is a piece of shit, period. So now I want to touch on that actually, because Terry Lynn brings up a good point.
That's what
And
that means. I thought that emoji meant like chocolate snow cone or something.
right, he's a piece of chocolate, ice cream. So no, but she does bring up a good point, and this is something I want to say is that look, regardless of let's just say for the sake of things, let's do a little bit of old fashioned swap here. Let's say we're looking at this stage, and you've got Black Sabbath coming out on stage. We're talking way back in the day. I mean, look, I'm not going to knock this set design. This thing is pretty badass. Again, if you go back to your dark days when when you listen to maybe heavy metal or whatever it was back in the day, whatever, when you're young and you have those dark days, things like this are cool. With that being said, again, now let's talk about modern times. Here's the part where I agree with Terry Lynn, and that is when you look at the things that he has said and done in his most recent concerts, or even in the past, he's been arrested about some things, but he has said to his crowd, knock down the barriers, ignore security, and that is a huge no-no.
Yeah.
There was even video of him berating a security guard who was stopping an unruly or somebody that was getting unruly. The security guard was doing his job, and Travis Scott is like leaning down off the stage, like yelling at the security guard, and yelled at him about, hey, let him be unruly. And his whole thing was rage, and he was telling his audience to rage. And when you start doing that, that is irresponsible. That is piece of shit territory, in my opinion. When you are that irresponsible with that many lives, eventually this is the product. Yeah. This is what happens, and that's my opinion.
Well, at that point, he becomes liable. If that person gets hurt or hurts someone else, Travis now legally becomes liable because you can't yell fire in a theater. The First Amendment is not absolute, and if what you do directly it is the cause of someone else being hurt or hurting someone else,
right?
You're liable.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I said, that I know a lot of people they see there's tragedy, and so they immediately start picking apart things. And yes, the stage looks like, and who knows? And you know what? Let's just say he was building something that was like a hellish, cool stage. Like, man, I want to build this tunnel that's like this portal to hell, and the stage and all this stuff. And he wanted to have the iconic entrance, type stuff where it's all this things. These are all things that, hey, if that's cool at the time, whatever. Like, I get it. Like, I get it as a stage performer. When I used to be in bands, I used to go to concerts, all these things. And yes, that would be impressive. That would be really cool. But again, it's impressionable. Always think about that. But it's the things that he said to the audience. It's those things that really, really gets me. That's the part that causes me to say, dude, you are responsible for these deaths, because you have, even though he didn't say it at this concert, I believe he didn't say that, but it was like the previous concert or like a month ago in Chicago or wherever it was. So somebody can correct me, I'm sure. But he's on video telling people to ignore, and he's had a history of this at a few other events of getting people worked up in these frenzies, and almost like ignore the man, ignore the rules, kind of thing. And that to me is where the irresponsibility is. So even if he didn't say it at this concert, his crowd that's been following, there's people that's been giving interviews saying, I've seen this man more times than I can count on my fingers. So we've got people going to his concerts regularly. So if they're there and they're in attendance or watching his videos on YouTube and they're seeing him talk to the crowd like that, it's in their head. He's planted the seed. So when they show up to this concert, they're charged up. They're like, hey man, he's all about charging forward and knocking down barriers and ignoring security. And guess what? That's what they did at this concert, even though he didn't say it. But even at the first, I guess there was like a COVID checkpoint or something like that. They just pushed through. They're like, yeah, whatever. They just, there was no crowd etiquette. And again, who conditioned them that way? So, anyways, let's break into a little more session. I don't want to go too long tonight. I just wanted to do like a special show because somebody had asked us to kind of look into this and do a session on this. So I want to open the session back up one more time to the spirits here and see what they have to say. Let's oh, did I just kick you off? It's like,
no, I'm on the show.
There we go. Okay. All right. So I guess I didn't know if I could have you and the fiery stage watching. So, all right, let's get this up here. Whew. All right. And I've got to kind of calm myself a little bit here now. I get worked up, talking about these things. I'm real passionate when it comes to people's lives like this. And again, I've been on stage. I used to perform, and I've performed in some pretty big events back in the day. Not 50,000 people. I'm not saying that. I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm just saying I know when crowds get worked up, and I've been to places where I've had like groups of people enjoying the concert and playing rock music to the point where all you had to do was just give the word and they would start fighting or moshing or slamming each other or whatever. People get worked up at concerts. So again, there's a certain responsibility to keep your crowd under a certain control and let them have fun and enjoy the event. And I've also been in the crowd watching other acts that have let the crowd get worked up to a certain point, but they kept it always, mostly calm or whatever. For the most part, maybe there was a little bit of, mosh pit or slam dancing, whatever they wanted to call it, in certain events I went to, but it was always contained. It was always within a certain area, and there was a certain respect to it. So anyways, all right, calm down here. Is there anything specifically, Stacy, you want me to ask when I get if I get anybody on the line, so to speak?
Well, if it's the same one we get from the last time, the woman, see if she was there, even if it's a different spirit. May
Right.
actually be somebody who was there, who died at the event, or shortly thereafter.
Okay. Again, I'm going to open up the session. If there's a spirit that would like to come forward and communicate with us that has information, a positive spirit, or the same spirit we were talking with earlier, if you would like to come forward and communicate with us regarding the rapper Travis Scott and the concert in Houston, the tragedy there, if you have information, please come forward. Use these dowsing rods. Cross the rods if you'd like to come forward and communicate. Cross the rods. Oh, yeah, wow. That was a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. Okay, straighten the rods, please. Return the rods. There you go. Return the rods to center. Thank you. Is this the same female spirit I was talking to a little bit ago? Please cross the rods for yes. Please leave the rods apart for no, or push them apart. Oh, this may be a new spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for communicating with us. First of all, are you a male? Cross the rods for yes. Leave apart for no. And are you a female? Cross the rods for yes. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. Please return the rods to center. Please return the rods to center. All right. Thank you. Now, just for confirmation, you have information that you can share with us about the tragedy at the Travis Scott concert in Houston. Is that correct? Please cross the rods for yes. Oh, okay. All right. Thank you for that. Just thank you for that confirmation. I appreciate it. All right, please straighten the rods. Please return the rods to center, please. Thank you for that. Okay, were you there at the concert? Please cross the rods for yes. Leave apart for no. Okay, so they weren't there at the concert.
No.
Are you related to Travis Scott? Please cross the rods for yes. Okay. Are you, and one more question on that is, are you related to anyone that was at the concert? Please cross the rods for yes. Okay. So this just may be a female spirit, again, giving us advice or information. Okay. So, again, I'm going to ask you, was there, did Travis Scott, did he intentionally conduct a satanic ritual? Please cross the rods for yes. Please leave apart for no. Or push apart the rods if you'd like for no. All right. There's another separate spirit that has also said that he was not conducting a satanic ritual. Okay. Is anyone that is any of Travis Scott's management part of satanic practices? Cross the rods for yes. Leave apart for no.
How about his crew?
Okay. Is there anyone on his crew? Any of the musicians that he tours with, are they involved in any kind of satanic practices? Please cross the rods for yes. No. What trying to think, because there's so many like little odds and ends. I'm trying to. But that was some major questions that we asked earlier. Okay. Were there members of the crowd? Did members of the crowd perform? Did they open up a portal? Cross the rods for yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Please return the rods to center, please. Please return the rods to center. Should I ask an opinion question, Stacey? Should I ask?
VIPs.
Do you think Travis Scott is responsible for the 8 deaths? Cross the rods for yes.
Oh.
Okay, thank you for that. Please straighten the rods or return the rods to center, please. Return the rods all the way. Thank you. Yeah, see, that might be what we were talking about, Stacey, too, with just the culpability of it.
He didn't stop the concert when everybody was injured. So
did he continue to perform after knowing people were dead? Wait. No, okay, I'm sorry about that. Never mind that question. Did Travis Scott intentionally continue the concert even though he knew that someone had passed away? Cross the rods for yes. Leave apart for no.
yeah.
Thank you for that. Please return the rods to center. Hey, Matt. In chat. Sorry, I'm doing the dowsing rods. Okay. All right. So thank you for that. So he basically kept going, knowing that someone was dead. Um, do you think Travis is truly remorseful with the concert deaths? Cross the rods for yes, leave apart for no, or push apart or leave apart for no. They don't think he's remorseful.
No.
Okay. Um, what else, Stacy? Help me out here. I'm trying to think. Is there any other questions in chat that you guys can think of that you want me to ask about this situation?
The only other thing I can think of is VIPs who are using him for their satanic purposes, their satanic goals.
Are there um, are there VIPs in Travis's life that are using him for their satanic purposes? Cross the rods for yes, leave apart for no.
Mm,
No.
I think we might be running out of steam.
Uh, let's see. You know, was there satanic influence on the crowd? Cross the rods for yes.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Thank you for that. I appreciate the confirmation. Thank you. Straighten the rods, please. Return the rods to center. Thank you for that. All right. Well, I think we're going to end this session here. We're going to end the session. I appreciate the conversation that you have, the information that you have. I am closing the session, so please return from where you came from. You are not welcome to stay here in our home. Thank you for that, though, for your information. Closing the session. Whew. All right. Ooh, that one felt a little more powerful than the other one as far as just power wise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so interesting. Again, some more confirmation. We got a few more questions in there this time.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't appear that he's. But I think again, Stacy. I think that, and let me bring you back here. I think again for me is just if you were to just again put this performance back in the 1980s or late 70s or something, it just would be a badass hard rock concert or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course the parents, again, yes, I can see where satanic panic could be a thing. But again, when you really do take a look, I think whenever you start having a stage like this, when you start having symbology, when you're wearing the shirt, where is it? Right here, where people are walking through this portal and turning into these almost like little demon devils. When you wear the shirt and you have the stage, and you're doing these things. Oh wait, I didn't even there. I'm sitting like, but when you're doing these things and you're wearing these clothes while you're doing, this type of stuff, you have these flaming, almost demon-looking creatures, these stages, the symbology for the mouth of hell. I think when you're doing these things, absolutely, I think it warrants a little bit of investigation. I don't think that any proper news organization can say there's no basis. I think, if anything, they should say, yes, he has maybe some symbology, but it appears that he's not doing these things. He has been asked. I mean, I think there's always should be a little bit more investigative journalism. I don't think anybody's come right out and asked the guy, hey, was this part of satanic rituals? Was this, blah, blah. Let him answer that and say there's no basis. And then the media could say, according to Travis Scott, there's no basis on this, blah, blah, blah. Would you agree? What do you think on that?
Absolutely. When they're the ones that give definitive absolutes with nothing to back that up, It's a cover up. Even though that factually speaking, we know from the dead that no, he did not engage in any, at least intentionally, satanic stuff. None of his crew, none of his managers. It's basically some asshole out in the audience. 50,000 plus, um, decided to conjure some things up and cause chaos.
Right.
And given the fact that people were admittedly hypnotized by the way that he put the music forward, you're easily influenced at that point.
Right.
You can be influenced in the middle of the night in REM sleep. That's why people usually wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, because that's typically when people are deep into REM sleep, and they're being influenced by something. The brain is the receiver of whatever is going on, and if you flip that thing to autopilot, things are going to jump in the driver's seat.
Right.
So,
well, and folks, we're going to start wrapping it up. This was kind of a special show. We didn't necessarily, this wasn't my normal Thursday 9 o'clock show. We've been wanting to get to this. This was an event that happened again. We had this request from a viewer named Andy, which they didn't show up, but maybe they couldn't. Maybe hopefully they'll watch it. Andy, if you watch this, again, this was a request of yours, and hopefully this answers your question. Again, take whatever the answers you get from beyond with a grain of salt. Again, I always tell that to people. If you to me, what the information we got from these couple different spirits seemed to be pretty consistent. There was no one said the other. There was no contradictions between the two different spirits. And also, I just want to point out that sometimes people say, well, maybe your own subconscious energy is moving the rods. And with that being said, I actually was really expecting there to be satanic influences and things like that. I thought the spirits were going to tell us these things. So no, folks, there's no subconscious, influences coming through me into that. That's purely me talking to the spirits. And I was very surprised by many of their responses actually tonight. I was expecting a lot of those to be flip-flopped. So my wife just came in the studio, so.
Hey, Terry.
Hi, honey. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Josh, what's going on tomorrow night?
So tomorrow night, I'm still not sure. We were talking about potentially doing a live from a location. I'm not fully sure on that yet. So again, we could just be having a normal show. It could be a live. There's a few things up in the air on that. Matt says hi in the chat too. Matt, paranormal consultant. So, but yeah. So, and I see you. See me. Everybody.
I was driving.
But
flower emoji.
Flower emoji. Yeah, she was out driving. She wasn't in the chat. Tonight was not the regular night, so she had things that she was doing. Like she had to go to the store. So, but anyways, folks, it was great that you all joined us tonight on the show. I really appreciate this special show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe. But folks, if you have any other requests, just message me and we'll take a look at that. Stacy, again, thank you for joining me tonight and co-hosting this with me. I'm glad we tackled the subject. It does put some bookends on it. I personally think if I had to sum it up, I would just say he's an irresponsible icon to kids and to other adults, young adults, especially impressionable people. He's irresponsible.
I'm sorry, I didn't get to watch the show, but did you mention how he sat there and peer pressured a kid to jump?
Oh, yeah. Well, we didn't get into that exact story. But we talked about his influence with him.
I saw that. But
Right.
I mean, he peer pressured a kid to jump from a third-story balcony in front of the whole crowd, and now the kid's partially paralyzed.
Right. Yeah, and that was another specific story that I can really quickly tell is there was a video of one of his concert viewers that was up in like a balcony, but this balcony, the way they're spaced apart, it's like literally like a 3-story fall. But this guy was on the outside of the balcony and, just showing off or whatever. And of course, when Travis Scott had seen him on the balcony, he sort of highlighted him with the lighting and called him out and was pretty much saying, like, are you going to do it? Or you just, and he really like peer pressured him or pressured him into actually jumping. Now, again, this also shows that you should never let people peer pressure you into something. But the kid jumped, and of course, nobody's going to catch him when your body is falling from 3 stories. And so he broke his legs and ended up partially paralyzed. And he's in a wheelchair. So, and again, this is just more reasons why I don't like the guy. I realize like when people are popular, it's an unpopular opinion to say, hey, I don't like this guy because of this, this, and this. But we live in an age now where we can capture everything on video. And these aren't just urban legends. These are moments actually captured by video to prove that this guy is an a-hole, so that's why I don't have respect for him. That's why, regardless of how well his music may be or how well it isn't, I don't care about any of that. To me, it's who you really are at the core. And when you are irresponsible with a large crowd or even individuals, and you're letting people do these things and you're encouraging people to hurt themselves, you're encouraging them to get in trouble. When you're encouraging this type of behavior, guess what? You got the outcome that you encouraged. So,
well, in the end, he's the one that's going to be bearing the responsibility because the stuff that you send out comes back to you.
Absolutely.
If you're going to be a shitbag, guess what's going to happen to you when you cross over? You're going to be a bigger shitbag.
Sorry.
You have no way of getting out of it at that point.
Right.
At least on this side of the veil, you have the opportunity for redemption. Most don't recognize that, and eternity is a really long time.
It is. So, with that being said, eternity's a long time, folks. So, with that being said, just remember. We do live shows every Thursday night at 9 p.m. And a lot of times we have Stacy co-hosting, or sometimes we have more people. We do a paranormal council when we have enough people. We do a lot of things on Thursday night, sometimes even live locations. I might be there. Who knows? You're just going to have to tune in Thursday around 9 o'clock. And if you don't see me on YouTube, I might be streaming on Facebook because sometimes I'm out live. I can't stream to Facebook yet until I become monetized, and then they unlock that feature for me. So either you guys are going to have to really start watching my videos and get my watch time up, because I'm over 1,000 subs. So I've got to get like 4,000 public watch hours or something. So I don't know what it is. Something weird. I think because I do a lot of live shows, it doesn't give me much credit either. So I think I'm hurting myself, but I need to do more recorded content. But
we can record these shows and then post those, again and again and again.
I know, but I love the live. I love the live feedback.
Like your wife banging on the ceiling above your head.
Yeah, like even the craziness when my wife's banging on the ceiling above me, or standing here in my studio right now, being goofy. Hey, don't show me those till later.
Oh, excuse you! Like I would ever show you would.
And she was doing the finger guns. So
idiots.
All right. So, anyways, folks.
You don't want to see these.
That's dirty.
Yeah, I'm leaving. This is weird.
Yeah, now it is getting weird. But yeah, we're just goofy here, folks. So, anyways, what was I was going to say something too. So make sure that your juice is steaky.
I knew that was coming.
That was from earlier. That was at dinner. I was like, man, your juice is steaky. But yeah, that was dinner. So just one of those weird flips of words.
You're an idiot right now. Just hang up.
Anyways,
say bye-bye now.
But you guys have a good tomorrow night. Come join us, or if you're just watching this on replay, come see us on Thursday nights. We'll see y'all later and seek the truth.